Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me again on another Read Aloud. Today's story, I hope you enjoy it. It is an old story, and it is also was made into a movie recently. So some of you may know the story by the movie, or some of you may simply just know it because it's a really cool book. So the story that I have today is called "The Story of Ferdinand," and it is by Munro. He is the author, so he wrote all the words. And the drawings are by Robert Lawson. So he is an illustrator. So he created all these pictures. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back cover so we could get a little bit more information on this book. This is the back cover. So you see there's a bull, and I'm assuming that that may be Ferdinand because authors like to put main characters on the cover or in the back. And I see some words also. Let's go ahead and read that so maybe we could find out some more information on the book. It says, "This is the story of Ferdinand, a little bull who would rather sit and smell the flowers than fight in the bull ring." So that gives us a little summary. The author wrote a little summary of what the book's about. Let's go ahead and start to read the story. Here's the title page, The Story of Ferdinand. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together, but not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" But she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where it's quiet and I could smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was big and strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, five men came in very funny hats to pick up the biggest, fattest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that he wouldn't pick the, that Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going to happen. What do you think may happen? Let's find out. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did it hurt. Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bull fights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came out the bandolitos, with long, sharp pins and ribbons on them to stick in the bull to make them mad. These are the bandolitos. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses and they had long spears to stick in the bull to make him madder. Those are the picadores. Then came the matador, the proudest of all, this guy. He thought he was so very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? That's right, it was Ferdinand. Look at him peeking up right there. What do you think's gonna happen next? Let's find out. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled, and the bandolitos were mad, and the picadores were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. For all I know, he is still sitting there under his favorite quartz tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story of Ferdinand, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye.